Picture this. You're lying in the snow, bleeding, your 3-day-old daughter going silent in your arms. Your husband's family just threw you down stone steps in a blizzard. They called you garbage, trash, nobody. What they didn't know? In 4 hours, you would inherit $2.3 billion, dollars, and you were about to make every single one of them pay. I'm Emma Harrington, and what you're about to hear is not fiction. This is the true story of how I went from dying in the snow to destroying an entire dynasty. How a family that thought they were untouchable learned the hardest lesson of their lives. Never underestimate the woman you throw away. They humiliated me for 3 years, filmed my worst moments for 500,000 followers, tried to steal my baby through a corrupt court system. They thought money and power made them invincible. They were wrong. Because when I walked into that boardroom 8 weeks later, platinum blonde, billion-dollar empire behind me, and 4 million people watching live. Let's just say their faces when they realized who I really was. That moment alone was worth everything. But here's what made it legendary. They had signed a consent form without reading it, just like they'd forced me to do. Karma has a beautiful sense of irony. Stay with me until the very end, because the courtroom twist, the FBI arrests, and what happened to each of them. You won't believe how this ends. And if you've ever been told you're nothing, if you've ever been thrown away, this story is for you. Before we begin, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now if you believe in justice. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation. And subscribe, because next week's story is even more insane than this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Now let me take you back to where it all started. February 14th, Valentine's Day. The day my world shattered. They dragged me across marble floors, my 3-day-old daughter screaming in my arms, and threw us both down stone steps into a blizzard. What they didn't know. 4 hours later, I would inherit $2.3 billion, dollars, and I was about to make every single one of them pay. I'm Emma Morgan, and this is how I went from bleeding in the snow to destroying an entire family dynasty. Stay until the very end, because when they realized who I actually was in that boardroom, that footage went viral and ended them completely. You don't want to miss what happened when 4 million people watched them beg. Let me take you back to where it all started. 3 days earlier, I was lying in a hospital bed at Mercy General. My body was still recovering from an emergency C-section. The pain was unbearable, radiating from the incision across my abdomen with every breath. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the emptiness I felt. My husband Michael hadn't visited me in 52 hours. Not once, I'd been counting. The nurses kept giving me these pitying looks, whispering when they thought I couldn't hear. I kept telling myself he was just busy with work, that he'd come soon. God, I was so naive. It was February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on me. Baby Grace lay in the bassinet beside my bed, her tiny face slightly yellow from jaundice. The doctor said it was common, nothing to worry about, but every time I looked at her, my heart clenched with fear. She was so small, so fragile, so perfect, and her father couldn't be bothered to meet her. I was still hooked up to IVs in both arms, still catheterized. The incision pain hovered around a 7 out of 10, even with the Percocet they were giving me every 4 hours. Every movement was agony. Around 11 p.m., my best friend Rebecca slipped into the room. She worked in the ICU downstairs and had been checking on me during her breaks. "Emma, honey," Rebecca said, her voice tight with something I couldn't identify. She looked worried. Actually worried, not just sympathetic. "I need to show you something. Please don't freak out, but you need to see this before someone else tells you." She handed me her phone. Instagram was already open. I stared at the screen, and my entire world shattered into a million pieces right there in that hospital bed. Michael's account. A photo of him with another woman. She was beautiful, glowing, and very clearly pregnant too. Her hand rested on her belly in that universal gesture of expectant mothers. They were at Le Bernardin, a 5-star restaurant I could never afford, somewhere Michael had never taken me. The caption read, "With my real family, finally honest, new beginnings, blessed with truth." Posted 6 hours ago, 47,000 likes. The comments were a mix of congratulations and confusion. "Wait, aren't you married?" someone asked. Who's the other woman? Another demanded. But most were just heart emojis and celebrations of his truth. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and crushed my heart in their fist. Emma, Rebecca said softly, it gets worse. He's been telling people at the hospital that you trapped him, that he's finally free to be with the woman he actually loves. 3 years of marriage, 3 years of trying so hard to be good enough for him, for his family, for their world. 3 years of love and devotion, all while he had someone else. My phone buzzed on the bedside table, an incoming call from an unknown number. I was too devastated to answer, too broken. I let it go to voicemail, barely registering that the caller ID had briefly flashed something. W. Harrington, private. I would never know my grandfather had tried to call me at 11:47 p.m. to arrange our first meeting. I would never know how close I had been to rescue. Dr. Morrison entered the room, discharge papers in hand. She was the OBGYN who had delivered Grace, a kind woman in her 50s with gentle hands and concerned eyes. Mrs. Sterling, she said carefully, I need to discuss something with you. Hospital social services flagged some concerning dynamics. Your husband hasn't visited and there's been some... The door slammed open. Victoria Sterling stormed in first. My mother-in-law wore a designer coat that probably cost more than my car, a Hermes bag dangling from her arm, cold fury blazing in her eyes. Behind her came Jonathan, Michael's father, in an expensive suit that screamed old money and power. Then Madison, Michael's sister, with her phone already out and recording. And finally, Alexis, the woman from the Instagram photo. She had a smug smile on her face, one hand resting on her pregnant belly like she was claiming territory. Dr. Morrison stepped forward. I'm sorry, visiting hours are over, and Mrs. Sterling needs... Victoria cut her off with a wave of her hand. We're family. We have every right to be here. She thrust a folder at Dr. Morrison. These are CPS documents. My daughter-in-law is mentally unstable and unfit. We're here to protect our granddaughter. I stared at them, unable to process what was happening. CPS documents? What? The folder contained forged papers claiming I had postpartum psychosis, a fake psychiatric evaluation from Dr. Gerald Rothman, the Sterling family's paid psychiatrist. It recommended immediate temporary custody removal pending evaluation. Dr. Morrison's hands shook as she read. I could see her struggling, knowing this was wrong but unsure what to do. Hospital legal had been called. The Sterling donation to the East Wing gave them power here. Victoria stepped to my bedside, her voice dripping with venom. You've ruined my son's life long enough. This pathetic charade ends tonight. I was weak, confused, still foggy from pain medication. What are you talking about? I just had his baby. Alexis laughed, actually laughed. She stepped forward and pulled out papers from her purse. That baby isn't even his. We did a DNA test. She showed me fake laboratory results. Probability of paternity, 0%. My mind reeled. When? How? I'd been here the whole time. This was impossible. You can't test a newborn without the mother's consent. But they had papers, official-looking papers. Madison started live streaming to Instagram. I could see myself on her phone screen, pale and broken in a hospital bed. Hey guys! Madison's voice was bright and cruel. You wanted the truth about my brother's gold digger wife? Here it is, live from the hospital where she's trying to trap him with a baby that isn't even his. I watched in horror as comments flooded in. Oh my God, is this real? She looks so pathetic. Your brother deserves better. 500,000 followers watching me at my lowest moment. Victoria leaned in close. Let me tell you what you actually Emerald were, Emma. A joke. A bet. My son and his college friends wagered $100,000 to see if he could marry the poorest girl on campus and stand her for 3 years. She pulled out her phone and played a video. Michael drunk at his bachelor party 4 years ago, laughing with 7 friends. Dude, 3 years with trailer trash? For 100 grand? Easy money. I'll just close my eyes and pretend she's someone else when we... Laughter, so much laughter. My world collapsed. 3 years, every I love you, every anniversary, every time I tried so hard to fit into his world. to be worthy of the Sterling name. All a joke. Madison noticed my bracelet, the simple silver chain with a small charm that had belonged to my mother. It was all I had left of her. "Ooh, what's this?" Madison mocked. "Your precious heirloom?" She tried to grab it. I jerked my arm away, pain shooting through my abdomen. "Don't! It's all I have from my mother." Victoria slapped me, hard, across the face. The sound echoed in the quiet hospital room. Dr. Morrison gasped. "That's assault! I'm calling security." Jonathan's voice was cold. "We are security. Harrington Memorial Hospital. My family donated the entire East Wing. Call whoever you want." What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the hospital was named after my grandfather. They had just threatened me in my own family's hospital. Rebecca burst into the room. "What the hell is going on here?" Hospital security arrived, but they looked confused. Jonathan's donation gave him influence. They didn't know what to do. Victoria thrust divorce papers at me. "Sign these right now or CPS takes your baby tomorrow morning. We have doctors who will testify you're unstable. You'll never see her again." I was drugged on pain medication, terrified, in agony from my incision. The room was spinning. "Please," I begged, "please don't take my baby." My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the pen. But I signed. Alexis leaned in and whispered, her breath hot against my ear. "Did you really think someone like you could keep a Sterling? You're nobody. You'll always be nobody." Victoria smiled, cold and triumphant. "You're discharged. Come to the mansion tomorrow to collect your trash. Then you're gone forever." They left. I collapsed in tears, my whole body shaking. Rebecca held me. "We're calling the police. This is harassment, coercion." "No," I whispered. "They have lawyers, money. I have nothing. I just want my baby safe." Dr. Morrison pulled out her personal phone. I didn't see her recording the whole confrontation. I didn't know she was a mandated reporter who took her duty seriously. "I'm documenting this," she said quietly. "This is abuse." I was too broken to care. It doesn't matter. They always win. But it would matter, very much, later. I just didn't know it yet. The next morning, February 15th, I took an Uber to the Sterling estate in Greenwich, Connecticut. I couldn't afford my own car. Michael had controlled all our finances during our marriage. Baby Grace was in a hospital-provided car seat, wrapped in a thin blanket. She was so small, so vulnerable. 3 days old and already her life was falling apart. The mansion loomed before us. Massive Georgian architecture, old money screaming from every column and window. I'd lived here for 3 years and never felt like it was home. I still had my key. When I walked through the front doors, the house staff I'd thought were kind all avoided eye contact. Some smirked. I found all my belongings already packed, thrown in garbage bags in the driveway like trash. My hands shook as I walked to my room, not the master bedroom. Michael and I had never shared that. I'd always slept in the servants' quarters at the back of the house, because I wasn't really family. Everything was destroyed. My clothes had been soaked in fountain water. Ruined. My books were torn apart, pages scattered. The photos of my mother had been burned in the fireplace downstairs. I could smell the ash. My mother's jewelry was gone. I found Madison in the master bedroom, wearing it. My mother's pearl necklace. The one thing I'd treasured above all else. "Oh, this old thing?" Madison laughed, taking a selfie. "Looks better on me, anyway." Finders keepers. As I walked through the mansion for the last time, memories assaulted me. Thanksgiving, year 1. Victoria made me serve the guests while the family ate. When I tried to sit at the table, she'd said, "The help doesn't eat with family, dear." Michael had said nothing. A charity gala, year 2. I'd worn a borrowed dress because I had no money for my own. Victoria told me not to embarrass them, to stand in the back. Don't talk to anyone important. Jonathan made me work the coat check while Madison socialized in designer gowns. Christmas, year 3. The Sterling's open presents worth thousands. Michael's gift to me? A vacuum cleaner. Everyone laughed. Victoria said, "At least now you'll be useful." 3 years of systematic humiliation. I packed what little had survived into one small bag. Grace was crying, needing to be changed and fed, but I had nowhere to do it. Before I could leave, Victoria's voice echoed through the intercom. Emma, darling, main hall, now, everyone's waiting. My stomach dropped. The main entrance hall was massive, marble floors that I'd been forced to scrub, a crystal chandelier that cost more than most people made in a year. The entire Sterling family was assembled like a court. Victoria stood at the center, the queen holding court, Jonathan beside her, the king. Madison on the stairs with her phone out, already recording. Michael leaning against the wall, unable to even look at me. And Alexis, draped on Michael's arm with that Victoria smile. 4 security guards I'd never seen before stood nearby. Big men, muscle for hire. Victoria's voice was cold. Before you leave and we forget you ever existed, you will kneel and apologize for wasting 3 years of our time and trying to trap my son with a bastard child. I held Grace closer. No, I'm leaving. Let me go. Jonathan's threat was quiet and deadly. You'll kneel, or we'll make sure every homeless shelter in Connecticut knows you're a mentally unstable child abuser. CPS will hunt you down. I'm not kneeling. Victoria nodded to the security guards. Everything happened so fast. A guard grabbed my arms. I screamed, please, I have my baby. Please don't hurt her. Another guard ripped Grace from my arms. The pain was immediate and excruciating. My C-section stitches tore from the struggle. I felt something warm and wet spreading through my clothes. Blood. Grace was screaming, that high-pitched newborn cry that meant distress, that meant terror. Madison was live streaming the whole thing. This is what happens when gold diggers attack the wrong family. Watch karma in action. Comments flooded in. She deserves it. Throw her out. Fake baby mama. 500,000 people watching me be destroyed. The guards dragged me across the marble floor. I was too weak to fight, still recovering from surgery, blood loss making me dizzy. My shoulder hit the corner of a marble column with a sickening crack. Pain exploded through my arm, possible dislocation. My bracelet caught on the marble edge. The charm broke off and skittered across the floor. A maid picked it up and pocketed it. I didn't know then that she would matter later. I was bleeding, screaming, begging. Alexa stood there laughing. This is so pathetic. Michael, is this really what you wasted 3 years on? Michael's voice was empty, dead. Just get her out of here. He didn't even have the courage to feel guilt. They reached the massive oak front doors and threw them open. Outside was a blizzard, full force, 15 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind chill made it feel like -5. Snow was falling so heavy you couldn't see 10 feet ahead. The wind was howling like something alive and angry. They threw me down the stone steps. I tried to curl up to protect myself, but I hit hard. 5 steps. Each one was agony. My already injured shoulder took most of the impact. I landed in the snow at the bottom, blood staining the white ground red. My bag came flying after me. The contents scattered. Medication, diapers, 1 change of clothes. Everything I had left in the world. Then a security guard tossed Grace at me. I barely caught her, pulling her against my chest to protect her from the cold. Madison shouted from the doorway, "Don't come back, or we'll have you arrested for trespassing. Say bye to your fake baby." Victoria's final words cut through the wind. This is where garbage belongs. The doors slammed shut with a boom that echoed in the empty street. I sat there in the freezing snow. Blood everywhere. Shoulder dislocated. C-section tearing. Grace's cries getting weaker, which was so much worse than her screaming. I had no phone. It had broken in the fall. No money, no coat, just a thin hospital cardigan. No real shoes, just hospital slippers that were already soaked through. I genuinely believed Grace and I would die there. "I'm so sorry, baby girl," I whispered, pulling her inside my cardigan to try to share body heat. "Mommy tried. I'm so sorry." Grace went quiet. That terrified me more than anything. Babies don't go quiet in the cold. Not unless something is very wrong. "Please don't leave me," I begged her tiny still form. "Please, you're all I have." My vision started to blur. Hypothermia was setting in. I could feel my body shutting down. I closed my eyes, ready to let go. Then I saw lights cutting through the snow. Three black Mercedes SUVs appeared like ghosts through the blizzard. The SUVs stopped right in front of me. Doors opened before the vehicles had fully stopped moving. An elderly man in an impeccable Tom Ford suit stepped out, holding an umbrella. Even at 3:47 in the morning, in a blizzard, he looked like he'd just left a boardroom. "Miss Emma Catherine Morgan," he said. "Thank God we found you." I could barely speak. "How? Who?" He knelt in the snow beside me, ruining what had to be a $3,000 suit. He didn't seem to care. "Your grandfather sent me. We need to get you both to safety now." Behind him, a team of paramedics in Harrington Global medical uniforms rushed toward us with heated blankets and medical equipment. "Grandfather?" I managed. "My mother's father died before I was born. I don't have—" "You do, William James Harrington. And we need to get you to Harrington Medical Center immediately. Your daughter is 10 minutes from critical hypothermia." The paramedics worked with professional efficiency. Heated blankets wrapped around both Grace and me. An IV line was established in my arm because I was severely dehydrated. Oxygen for Grace because her breathing was shallow. Someone stabilized my shoulder. Pressure bandages for the bleeding. They loaded us into a warm SUV. The heat felt like heaven after the brutal cold. The elderly man, Richard Blackwell, as I would soon learn, sat in the vehicle with us, monitoring everything. Through the blizzard, professional drivers navigated like they could see perfectly. Richard was on his phone, speaking in calm, efficient tones. "Dr. Anderson, ETA 8 minutes. I have a 28-year-old female, post-op day 3 from C-section, active bleeding, possible shoulder dislocation, moderate hypothermia, and a 3-day-old infant. Severe hypothermia, critical, prep NICU and trauma." A paramedic was checking Grace's temperature. 94.5, he said quietly. "We need to warm her slowly." Normal is 97 to 99 for newborns. If she hit 93, organ damage would begin. I watched them work on my daughter, too exhausted to do anything but trust these strangers who had appeared from nowhere. We arrived at Harrington Private Medical Center at 4:15 a.m. This wasn't Mercy General where I'd given birth. This was something else entirely. A private hospital for the ultra-wealthy, marble floors, art on the walls, rooms that looked like hotel suites. Grace was rushed to the NICU. A team of 6 specialists descended on her immediately. Warming protocols, monitoring, everything precise and careful. Dr. Anderson, the top pediatrician, spoke to me as they worked. "You got her here just in time. 5 more minutes and we'd be looking at permanent damage." I was taken to a private suite that looked like a room at the Four Seasons. They relocated my shoulder, which was excruciating but necessary, redid my C-section stitches, started a blood transfusion, IV antibiotics because exposure plus open wounds meant high infection risk, pain management that actually worked. I woke up at 11 a.m., 7 hours later, with sunlight streaming through windows. For a moment, I thought it had all been a nightmare. Then I saw my bandaged shoulder, the IV lines, the medical equipment. Panic seized me. "Grace, where's my baby?" Dr. Morrison entered, the same OB-GYN from Mercy General. "Emma, breathe. Grace is stable. She's in NICU, being monitored. She's going to be fine." "What are you doing here? How—" "Mr. Blackwell called me, told me everything. I quit Mercy General this morning. I couldn't work for a hospital that let that happen to you." Rebecca rushed in next, hugging me carefully and crying. "Oh my God, Emma, when you didn't answer your phone this morning." I went to the Sterling mansion. I saw the blood in the snow. I thought. She broke down. "I'm okay," I told her. "We're okay." Richard Blackwell entered with a leather portfolio in hand. "Ladies, I need a moment alone with Emma. What I'm about to tell her is confidential." Rebecca and Dr. Morrison left reluctantly. Richard pulled a chair beside my bed. Grace was brought in a rolling NICU bassinet, still being monitored but stable. Seeing her alive and safe made me start crying all over again. "Emma," Richard began, "your mother was Catherine Harrington before she became Catherine Morgan. Your grandfather was William James Harrington, founder and CEO of Harrington Global Industries." He showed me a photo, an elderly man with kind eyes and a powerful presence. I'd never seen him before in my life. I've never seen him. Mom never talked about her family. She said they were dead. Richard told me the story. My mother had run away at 19 after fighting with her father about my dad, James Morgan. William thought James was using her for money. He was right, but Catherine was stubborn and proud. She left with nothing. Changed her name, moved to Ohio, worked 3 jobs to raise me alone after my father abandoned us when I was 2. Pride kept her from reaching out. Pride kept William from apologizing. 2 stubborn people who loved each other but couldn't get past their own egos. When my mother died 5 years ago in a car accident, William was devastated. He'd been tracking her for years, always watching, never approaching. Then he started looking for me. He found you 2 years ago, Richard said, right after you married Michael Sterling. My breath caught. For 2 years, William watched you. He had security following you, cameras monitoring the Sterling estate. He saw everything they did to you. Richard showed me footage. Victoria making me serve at parties. Jonathan having me work as unpaid help. Madison's cruelties. Michael's neglect. Everything. Why didn't he help me? My voice broke. Richard explained. William wanted to intervene so badly, but his lawyers, including Richard, advised him to wait. They needed ironclad legal protection for the inheritance. No way the Sterlings could claim I married Michael knowing about the money. No way they could contest anything. They were building a trust structure that would protect me from everyone. The plan was for William to reveal himself to me the day after I gave birth, February 15th, today. That unknown call last night, I whispered. Richard nodded. That was William. He was flying back from London. He wanted to tell you he'd be at the hospital this morning to finally meet you. Richard's voice shook, the first time he had shown real emotion. His flight landed at 6:30 a.m. He went straight to his car. I called him to confirm the meeting time. He asked how you were doing. I said you'd been discharged and we didn't know where you were. The GPS tracker showed you at the Sterling mansion. GPS tracker? The bracelet, your mother's bracelet, the one you've worn every day for years. William had a medical-grade GPS chip embedded in the charm. Waterproof, 5-year battery, heat sensors. I touched my wrist. The bracelet was gone, lost in the snow when the charm broke off. It's how we found you. At 3:47 a.m., the heat sensor triggered an alert. Subject entering hypothermic temperature zone. I called William immediately, told him you were in danger. He pulled up the live security feed we had on the Sterling estate. Richard showed me footage on his tablet. The entire assault, Madison live streaming, me being dragged, thrown down the steps, blood in the snow, Grace nearly dying. All time-stamped, 3:47 to 3:52 a.m. William watched that footage at 7:05 a.m. in his car. Richard's voice broke completely. At 7:15 a.m. his driver called me. William had collapsed, massive heart attack. Paramedics arrived at 7:21. He was pronounced dead at 7:43 a.m. The crushing irony hit me like a physical blow. Emma, when they threw you down those steps at 3:47 a.m., you were nobody. You were exactly what they said. Poor, powerless, garbage. But at 7:43 a.m., 4 hours later, when William's death was legally recorded, you became sole heir to a $2.3 billion empire. They threw you in the snow when you had nothing. But when you hit that ground and the clock started ticking toward 7:43 a.m., you were already a billionaire. They just didn't know it yet. I stared at him, unable to process. Your grandfather died watching them abuse you, knowing he was about to make you powerful enough to destroy them all. Richard handed me an envelope, William's handwriting on heavy paper. I read through tears. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I waited too long. I was flying home to finally meet you, to tell you I'm sorry for failing your mother, for not finding you sooner, for watching that family hurt you without intervening. I wanted legal protection in place first. I wanted to make sure no one could ever take what I'm giving you, but I should have protected you first. I saw the security footage this morning. Watching them throw you and Grace in the snow, I realized I'd made a terrible mistake. My heart couldn't take it, literally. But even in death, I can protect you. Everything I built is yours. $2.3 billion, 40 companies, properties in 18 countries. All of it. Take this empire. Say buying it. Show them what Harrington blood truly means. Never bow to anyone again. Make them pay for every bruise, every tear, every moment they made you feel worthless. You are not garbage. You are my granddaughter. You are powerful beyond measure. And I'm sorry I won't be there to see you rise. With all my love, Grandfather William. I clutched the letter, sobbing. Grace was safe in her bassinet beside me. Finally safe. The trust was already established, Richard said. Everything transfers to you immediately. No probate, no delays, state taxes already planned for, board of directors already briefed. Emma, as of 8 a.m. this morning, you are chairwoman of Harrington Global Industries, and the Sterling family has absolutely no idea. I looked up, tears still on my face, but something different in my eyes. Something cold, something hard. Tell me everything about their business, I said. Every vulnerability, every weakness. Richard smiled for the first time. Now you sound like your grandfather. The next day, February 16th, I sat in a wheelchair in Harrington Global's private conference room. I was still recovering, but I needed to understand what I now controlled. Grace was beside me in a designer stroller, cared for by Harrington Medical staff. She was healthy now, the jaundice fading, her color returning to normal. Richard presented me with leather-bound dossiers on the Sterling family. Sterling Industries is in catastrophic debt, he began. $83 million total. He showed me financial documents. Jonathan had embezzled $12 million from the pension fund for his private spending. Failed ventures had cost $31 million. Operating loans totaled $40 million. They were 3 months from total bankruptcy without new capital. Jonathan applied for a $75 million contract with Harrington Global last month. Richard said, a government defense contract where we're the intermediary. It's their only hope of survival. And we control whether they get it. You control it. You're CEO. Next came Victoria's information. Sterling-style boutiques, her Passagin project. 5 locations across Connecticut and Manhattan. All in Harrington-owned buildings, and Richard said, leases up for renewal in 47 days. She's $480,000 behind on rent. But here's the best part. She's been underreporting income to the IRS. We have proof of $2.3 million in tax evasion. Can we report her? I asked. Already drafted the anonymous tip. Waiting for your authorization. Private investigator James Crawford presented Madison's file. Madison Sterling, age 32, claims to be 26 on all public platforms. He showed me her driver's license next to her Instagram bio. The birth dates didn't match. Extensive plastic surgery, all undisclosed, rhinoplasty in 2019, breast augmentation in 2020, cheek fillers, Botox, lip injections ongoing, BBL, Brazilian butt lift in 2021. Her modeling contract with Prestige Agency specifically states no undisclosed procedures. It's grounds for termination. Who owns Prestige Agency? I asked. Richard smiled. As of yesterday, you do. Harrington Global acquired it 2 weeks ago. Madison doesn't know yet. Michael's file was next. The college bet was fully documented. Group chat with 8 participants, none of them smart enough to delete it. Brad Miller, 23. Dude, no way you last 3 years married to that broke chick Mayo. M. Sterling, 100K says I can, easiest money ever. Or Chad Morrison. What if she finds out? M. Sterling, she won't. She's too stupid and desperate to question anything. There was video too, the bachelor party footage Victoria had shown me, but the full version. Michael talking about closing his eyes and pretending I was Alexis. Everyone laughing. Michael also embezzled $3.8 million from Sterling Industries to fund his lifestyle with Alexis, Crawford added. Jonathan knows but covered it up because it's family. Finally, Alexis Beaumont, except that wasn't her real name. Alexandra Marie Thompson, Crawford said, pulling up her mugshot from California in 2019. Professional con artist. 3 documented cases. Case 1, 2018. Engaged to Richard Pemberton, a tech millionaire. Faked pregnancy, stole $400,000, disappeared before the supposed miscarriage. Case 2, 2020. Engaged to David Collins, hedge fund manager. Faked pregnancy, Stole 650,000, vanished. Case 3, 2021. Engaged to Marcus Whitmore, pharmaceutical executive. Faked pregnancy, caught before the payout. Warrant issued. She's wanted in California for fraud charges, bail jumping, identity theft, wire fraud. The pregnancy with Michael is also fake. We traced the ultrasound image. She bought it on a dark web forum for $200. Does Michael know any of this? I asked. Not yet. I thought about it. If I expose Alexis now, Michael becomes sympathetic. Poor man fooled by a con artist. Richard looked impressed. You're learning fast. We save Alexis for later, when it does maximum damage. Over the next 8 weeks, I transformed. Week 1 was physical recovery and business basics. Physical therapy for my shoulder and C-section. Learning to hold grace while reading quarterly reports. Richard teaching me to read financial statements. Attending board meetings, silent and observing, learning every division of Harrington Global. Week 2, I became a businesswoman. An MBA crash course with Harrington executives. Learning Sterling Industries' vulnerabilities. Taking notes furiously, asking sharp questions that impress the executives. My first solo presentation to the board about the tech division. I crushed it. Week 3 was my physical transformation. Designer shopping, Tom Ford suits, Armani blazers, Louboutin heels. My hair changed from soft brown to sleek platinum blonde with balayage. Professional makeup lessons, media training for voice, posture, commanding presence. Stand like you own the room, my coach said, because you do. Week 4, I learned power, self-defense classes, Krav Maga. I would never feel helpless again. Negotiation workshops with Richard. Meetings with company lawyers, learning how to destroy someone legally. I practiced my boardroom face in the mirror, cold, powerful, unbreakable. Weeks 5 and 6, the strategic moves began. Harrington Global quietly bought Sterling Industries' debt from 15 creditors. A shell company purchased Madison's modeling agency. We hired forensic accountants to audit Victoria's boutiques. Prepared evidence packages for the IRS. Week 7 was about setting the trap. Preparing the boardroom presentation with the graphics team. I forced myself to watch footage of my own assault. Recovery of security footage from the Sterling estate, courtesy of the maid who had pocketed my bracelet charm. She came forward when Emma paid her $50,000 for the charm and the footage she'd secretly recorded on her phone. Anonymous leaks to gossip blogs about Madison. Scheduling the business meeting with Jonathan. Week 8, final preparations. I practiced my boardroom speech in front of the mirror. Grace was now 2 months old, healthy and happy, cared for by a professional nanny team. I stood in my full power suit, platinum hair perfect, red lipstick applied with precision. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Let's destroy them, I said. The meeting was set for April 12th. They had no idea who they were about to face. April 2nd, 10 days before the boardroom meeting. Madison was still posting daily on Instagram, a beach vacation in Turks and Caicos, funded by her parents. Caption, 26 and living my best life. Blessed, natural beauty, no filter. 486,000 followers. Comments gushing about how perfect she was. Madison felt invincible. I called her from my old phone number, the one she still had saved. She answered, laughing. I could hear Alexis and Victoria in the background. Oh my God, the trash is calling me. Let me put you on speaker. Emma, how's life in whatever gutter you're living in? Did you find a homeless shooter that takes babies? I kept my voice quiet, broken, acting. I just wanted to know if you'd reconsider the CPS case. Please, I miss Grace so much. The CPS case had been dropped in week 1 due to no evidence, but Madison was cruel enough to pretend it was still active. Oh, honey, CPS didn't want your baby either. You're such a pathetic mother. But hey, at least Michael and Alexis's wedding is next month. You're invited to watch from the servants' entrance. Cackling laughter. Victoria in the background. Tell her we already forgot she existed. Alexis. Tell her Michael says the past 3 years were the worst of his life. More laughter. You know what, Emma? You were always nobody. You'll always be nobody. Thanks for the entertainment, though. Bye. She hung up, their laughter echoing. I was in Harrington Global office, phone on speaker, Richard and Crawford listening. My face was ice cold, no emotion. Did you get what you needed? Richard asked. Yes, deploy Madison package. Now. April 3rd, 6 a.m. Elite Secrets gossip blog published. Instagram influencer. Madison Sterling, the lies behind the likes. Full expose with receipts. Real driver's license showing she was 32. Medical records showing all plastic surgeries obtained legally through medical billing audits. Before and after photos. Comparison of her natural beauty claims versus surgical reality. Financial documents showing parents funding 70% of her influencer lifestyle. Screenshots of her lying to brands about her age. The article went viral. Within 2 hours, Madison Sterling Exposed was trending #1 on Twitter. TikTok videos analyzed every photo for surgery evidence. Beauty YouTubers made videos titled, Madison Sterling Lied to Us. Sponsors started canceling. Sephora, breach of contract, misrepresentation. Fashion Nova, we require honesty, you're terminated. Flat Tummy Tea, we're ending our partnership effective immediately. 12 more brands pulled out within 4 hours. At 9 a.m., Prestige Modeling Agency sent an email. Dear Madison, due to contractual violations regarding undisclosed procedures and age misrepresentation, we are terminating your contract effective immediately. Please return all agency property by COB today. Madison had no idea I owned the agency. At 11 a.m., she went on Instagram Live crying, makeup running. You guys, this is all lies. I'm 26. I've never had surgery. This is photoshopped. Someone is trying to destroy me. Comments flooded in. We have your driver's license, Sias. Just admit it. You lied to us. Unfollow. 47,000 people watched her melt down in real time. Her follower count dropped like a stone. 486,000. 450,000. 420,000. 380,000. Madison sobbed on camera. Please, I don't know who's doing this, but please stop. Victoria called her. Get off Instagram now. You're making it worse. Mom, someone leaked everything, my medical records. How is that even legal? I don't care. Fix this. Within a week, Madison's followers dropped to 180,000. No sponsors, no agency, gossip blogs writing follow-up articles daily. Her name was a punchline. She called Victoria, desperate. Can you have Dad make this go away? Your father has his own problems. Sterling Industries is in trouble. Figure it out yourself. I watched the news coverage with Richard. Phase 1 complete. Madison neutralized. She called me trash, filmed my assault for entertainment. She deserves everything she's getting. Who's next? Richard asked. Alexis. Then we saved Victoria and Jonathan for the boardroom. April 5th, the Sterling Mansion. Michael and Alexis were living together, planning their wedding for May. Alexis's belly was getting bigger. The fake pregnancy belly, high quality and convincing. Victoria was fussing over wedding plans. Jonathan was stressed about business but hiding it. An anonymous FedEx package arrived. Michael opened it in his study. Inside he saw was a full dossier on Alexander Marie Thompson, criminal record, mugshots from 3 previous cons, documentation of fake pregnancies, the ultrasound image she'd used with metadata showing it was purchased online. Bank records showing $650,000 stolen from previous victims. A note. Michael, you made me feel like garbage for 3 years. Now you know what it feels like to be fooled. Check her belly. It's fake. You're welcome. A friend. Michael stormed into the master bedroom where Alexis was getting dressed. Who the hell are you, really? He threw the dossier at her. Alexis stammered. Baby, I can explain. Your name isn't even Alexis. You're a con artist. She tried to run. He grabbed her arm. Her sleeve caught on the dresser drawer. The pregnancy belly fell out of her dress. Silicone. Expensive, but fake. It hit the floor with a thud. Michael stared. Get out of my house, now. Victoria and Jonathan rushed in. They saw the belly on the floor. Victoria gasped. Jonathan picked up the dossier. She's wanted in California? Alexis tried to grab her purse. Jonathan blocked the door. You're not going anywhere. I'm calling the police. At 11:30 a.m., Greenwich police arrived with a warrant from California that had finally been executed. Alexis in handcuffs, screaming, "This is a setup. Someone sent this information. Someone's targeting us." Victoria stopped. Who would even know about? Madison, watching, said what they were all thinking. First me, now Alexis. Someone's coming after us. Jonathan tried to dismiss it. Don't be paranoid, it's coincidence. But his face showed doubt. That night, Michael sat alone in his study, drinking scotch. Everything was falling apart. His 3-year marriage was a bet his friends still mocked him about. He had a real daughter with Emma that he'd abandoned. Alexis was a con artist. The company was failing. Everything he touched turned to garbage. He pulled out his phone, scrolled to my old number, now disconnected, almost called to apologize. Victoria walked in. Don't even think about it. Maybe we were too hard on her. The baby, Grace, she's my daughter, and I... Victoria slapped him. That woman is gone. She's nothing. Focus on what matters, saving this family's business. What if someone's targeting us because of what we did to Emma? Victoria laughed. Emma? That pathetic girl is probably dead in a ditch somewhere. She doesn't have the resources or brains to come after us. I watched them via hacked security feed, hearing every word. My expression was ice cold. April 6th, I watched the Sterlings implode on security feeds. Richard said, "The Sterlings are destroying themselves. Michael and Alexis broken up. Madison's career destroyed. Victoria panicking about money. You could stop here. Take Grace, move to Paris, live your life. They're already suffering." I looked at Grace, 2.5 months old, smiling at me. Maybe you're right. Maybe revenge isn't worth it. They're destroying themselves. I just want peace. I want Grace to grow up away from all this ugliness. I started drafting plans to relocate to London. Harrington Global had European offices. I could run the company from there. Never see the Sterlings again. Let them rot in their own consequences. For a moment, I genuinely considered mercy. Then April 8th happened. Legal papers arrived at Harrington Global office. Sterling family versus Emma Morgan. Emergency custody petition. They claimed I'd abandoned Grace. Fabricated witness statements from paid mansion staff. That I was mentally unstable, citing Dr. Rothman's updated fake psychiatric evaluation. That the Sterling family could provide a stable 2-parent household. That Michael was reformed and seeking to make amends. That a child's best interest meant a wealthy, stable Sterling home versus a single mother. Emergency hearing scheduled for April 11th, 3 days away. Judge, Honorable Robert Whitmore, Connecticut Family Court. Richard was grave. Emma, this is serious. Whitmore is old money, Connecticut. Golfs with Jonathan Sterling. He's biased toward traditional family structures. But I have evidence. The assault, the abuse, they're claiming all evidence was illegally obtained. Without admissible evidence, it's your word against theirs in Connecticut Family Court. They have home court advantage here. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I have $2.3 billion and I can still lose my daughter? Money doesn't always win in family court, especially when the judge is compromised. My legal team of 5 top lawyers gathered. We need Dr. Morrison's testimony about the hospital abuse. She's scared. Testifying means going against the hospital the Sterling family donated to. What about Rebecca Martinez, the nurse? Hearsay. She didn't witness the actual assault. The security footage from the mansion? Illegally obtained, inadmissible. So we have nothing? The lead counsel was honest. We have your testimony, but they'll paint you as a bitter, vindictive ex-daughter-in-law. And Judge Whitmore already leans their direction. April 11th, Connecticut Family Court in downtown New Haven. I arrived with my legal team. Across the aisle, the Sterling family had 8 lawyers. The Sterling's lawyer opened. Your Honor, this is about a child's welfare. Grace Sterling was born into a loving family. Her father, Michael Sterling, made mistakes, as we all do, but is now committed to being the father she deserves. Her grandmother, Victoria Sterling, and grandfather, Jonathan Sterling, are pillars of Connecticut society, with resources and stability to provide an exceptional upbringing. The respondent, Emma Morgan, has demonstrated erratic behavior, abandoned her child with strangers, while she has been seen entering and leaving various luxury hotels and corporate buildings. We asked for immediate custody transfer pending full evaluation. They were twisting my work at Harrington Global to look like suspicious behavior. My lawyer countered, "Your Honor, this is a transparent attempt by an abusive family to further victimize my client. Emma Morgan was assaulted, thrown out of the Sterling home in a blizzard with a 3-day-old infant." Objection. No evidence of assault has been presented. Sustained. Counsel, stick to facts and evidence. Victoria took the stand, dressed like the perfect grandmother. Chanel suit, pearls, concerned expression. "Your Honor, I loved Emma like a daughter. We welcomed her into our home, despite her humble background. We tried to help her adjust to our family's lifestyle. When she had the baby, we were overjoyed. But Emma became increasingly paranoid, accusatory. She claimed we were trying to steal Grace. We were only trying to help. She left our home voluntarily in the middle of the night. We were worried sick. Now we discover we don't even know where she's living or what she's doing. Michael just wants to be a father to his daughter." My lawyer cross-examined. "Mrs. Sterling, you claim Emma left voluntarily. Why would a woman recovering from surgery leave in a blizzard with a newborn?" "I don't know. I told you she was acting irrationally." "Did you or anyone in your family put your hands on Emma Morgan?" "Absolutely not. That's a vicious lie." "What about this?" My lawyer tried to show Madison's Instagram footage. Objection. That footage was obtained without consent and has been edited. Sustained. I will not consider illegally obtained evidence. Madison testified, coached, and subdued after her public humiliation. Emma always resented our family. She was jealous of me, of our lifestyle. The night she left, she was screaming at my mother, threatening us. We tried to calm her down, but she ran out into the snow. I was scared for the baby. That's why I recorded, to document her erratic behavior for CPS. Michael gave the performance of his life. "Your Honor, I made terrible mistakes. I was a bad husband. I neglected Emma. I'm ashamed. But I love my daughter. I want to be her father. I'm in therapy now, working on myself. My family can provide stability, a home, resources, a future. Emma, I don't even know where she's living. How can she care for Grace properly?" Then I took the stand. I told the truth, the bet, the abuse, the hospital ambush, being thrown in the snow. The Sterling's lawyer destroyed me. "Ms. Morgan, you claim abuse, but you have no evidence. No police reports, no hospital records of this alleged assault, no witnesses besides friends who would naturally support you. Isn't it true you're simply a bitter ex-wife trying to keep a father from his child?" "No, they threw me down the steps. I have footage. Footage you obtained illegally by hacking their security system." Objection. Overruled. Answer the question, Ms. Morgan. Someone recovered it for me. So you admit to obtaining it through illegal means. Judge Whitmore delivered his ruling. This is a difficult case. However, I must prioritize the child's best interest. While I find Ms. Morgan to be a caring mother, I am troubled by the lack of concrete evidence supporting her allegations. Conversely, the Sterling family has demonstrated resources, stability, and a genuine desire to provide for Grace. Therefore, I am granting temporary custody to Michael Sterling and the Sterling family, pending a full 30-day evaluation period. Morgan will have supervised visitation twice weekly. My world ended. No, please. Grace was brought from the waiting room. I held her, sobbing. "No, please don't take her. Please." A social worker gently removed Grace from my arms. Victoria took her, smirking. Grace was crying, reaching for me. I collapsed. This was worse than the snow, because this time I had money. I had power. I had resources. I had everything. And I still lost. The system had failed me. On the courthouse steps, cameras flashed. Media was covering the case. Victoria carried Grace to the Sterling car, Madison beside her looking victorious. Michael wouldn't even look at me. That night, alone in the Harrington Global penthouse suite, I stared at Grace's empty crib. I called Richard. I tried to do this right, legal, civilized, by the rules, and they still won. They took my daughter. We'll appeal. We'll fight. No. My voice changed, cold, final. No more rules. No more playing their game. You told me I own the board. Fine, I'm flipping it over. Set up the contract meeting. I want all of them in that room. April 12th, tomorrow. Emma, are you sure? They want war? They'll get annihilation. Between midnight and 6 a.m. I worked. I called Dr. Morrison. I need you to testify. I'll protect you, please. She was crying. I'm scared. So am I, but we do it anyway. Crawford found Madison's undeleted Instagram live stream from the hospital, stored on Instagram servers, legally accessible. My lawyers filed an emergency motion with new evidence. I didn't sleep. I put on my armor. White Tom Ford suit, platinum hair perfect, red lipstick. I looked at myself in the mirror. Let's end this. April 12th, 2 p.m., Harrington Global Headquarters, Midtown Manhattan, 52nd floor. The Sterling family arrived in their Lexus. Their Mercedes had been repossessed, replaced with an older model. They looked diminished. Jonathan's suit didn't fit quite right anymore from stress weight loss. Victoria's jewelry was clearly costume, not real. She'd had to pawn the real pieces for rent. Madison had no designer outfit, her hair not professionally done, looking exhausted. Michael was hungover and defeated, but they were trying to look confident. This $75 million contract was their only hope. In the elevator, Victoria said, "Remember, we are Sterling's, old money. They'll respect that." Jonathan, just let me handle the negotiation. We need this contract or we're finished. Madison, checking her phone. At least that Emma situation is resolved. Judge gave us grace. Michael said nothing, staring at the elevator floor. The elevator opened to the 52nd floor. Breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Manhattan skyline. Modern art. Obvious wealth. The receptionist directed them to conference room A. Massive. Glass walls. View of Central Park. Conference table seating 20. At the head, the CEO chair was turned away, facing the city. 8 board members in expensive suits were already seated. Security guards stood at the exits. A massive screen hung behind the CEO chair. The Sterling family sat across from the CEO chair. Jonathan cleared his throat. "Thank you for this opportunity to—" My voice cut him off. "Hello, Jonathan." The chair slowly turned. I sat there in full power. Platinum blonde hair sleek, white Tom Ford suit, red Louboutin heels, grandfather's signet ring, red lipstick, ice-cold expression. "Hello, Victoria, Madison, Michael." Their reactions happened in slow motion. Jonathan's face drained of all color. He stumbled backward into his chair. Victoria actually fainted. Madison caught her, staring at me in horror. Madison's mouth hung open. She couldn't process what she was seeing. Her phone dropped from her hand. Michael froze completely, eyes wide, unable to speak. Security guards stepped in front of the exits. No one was leaving. Jonathan recovered enough to speak. "What? What is this? Some kind of joke?" I stood and walked slowly around the table. My voice was calm and deadly. "Please, sit down. We have a $75 million contract to discuss." Victoria revived, hysterical. "This is insane. You can't be. You're nobody. You're—" "I'm Chairwoman Emma Catherine Harrington, CEO of Harrington Global Industries, sole heir to my grandfather William Harrington's $2.3 billion empire." I pointed to the portrait on the wall, William Harrington's official photo. "And you're here because you applied for a contract with my company." Michael found his voice. "This is impossible. You're... How am I here? Let me tell you a story." I clicked the remote. The screen behind me lit up. The first slide showed February 15th, 3:47 a.m. Footage of me being thrown down the Sterling estate steps. Time-stamped. Clear as day. Victoria screamed, "Turn that off." "No, you're going to watch." The footage played, everything. Madison live streaming, me dragged across marble, blood on the floors, Victoria demanding I kneel. Security ripping Grace from my arms, me thrown down the steps. Blood in snow, Doors slamming. The boardroom went silent. Even the executives who hadn't seen this looked horrified. February 15th, 3:47 a.m. You threw me down those steps. At that moment, I was exactly what you said. Nobody. Poor, powerless, garbage. The next slide showed William James Harrington's death certificate. Date of death, February 15th, 7:43 a.m. 4 hours later, my grandfather died of a heart attack after watching security footage of what you did to me. His will made me sole heir, effective upon his death. I paused for maximum impact. So when you threw me in that snow at 3:47 a.m., I was nobody. But when I hit the ground and the clock started ticking toward 7:43 a.m., I was a billionaire. You just didn't own it yet. Victoria whispered, "Oh my God." Unaware his wife had just inherited a billion-dollar empire, her in-laws and mistress threw her into the snow. That's quite a headline, isn't it? Now let's discuss your situations. The next slide showed Jonathan Sterling's financials, all in red. Sterling Industries, $83 million in debt, except it's not $83 million anymore. I own $75 million of that debt as of 3 weeks ago. Bought it from your creditors at a discount. I'm calling it due today. You have 48 hours to pay in full, or I seize every asset. Jonathan tried to speak. He couldn't. Oh, and this? The FBI logo appeared, email chains showing Jonathan's embezzlement of the pension fund. The FBI received these documents at 9 a.m. this morning. Expect charges by end of week. Next slide, Victoria Sterling's boutiques. Sterling-style boutiques. 5 locations, all in my buildings. You're evicted, effective today. Locks will be changed at 5 p.m. You're also $480,000 behind on rent. I'm suing for back rent plus damages. And one more thing. The IRS logo appeared. The IRS received documentation of $2.3 million in tax evasion yesterday. Expect an audit. A photo appeared of Madison wearing my mother's jewelry. And I'm suing you personally for $5 million for theft of my mother's heirloom jewelry. Victoria gasped, clutching her chest. Next slide. Madison Sterling, before and after photos of her scandal. Your modeling career? Destroyed. Your influencer status? Gone. But here's my favorite part. Video played, Madison's Instagram live from the hospital. Full footage of her live streaming my abuse. This was broadcast publicly to 500,000 people. It's admissible evidence. The Greenwich Police Department received this footage this morning. Assault charges filed. Madison started crying. Next, Michael Sterling. The college bet video played in full. Every cruel word, every laugh, every degrading comment about me. This goes to every major media outlet at 6 p.m. today. Your embezzlement of $3.8 million from Sterling's Industries, also reported to the FBI. But here's the part that really matters to you. Final slide, custody case. About Grace. New footage appeared. Dr. Morrison's phone recording from the hospital. Clear audio of threats and assault. Madison's Instagram live. Legally admissible as a public broadcast. Testimony from 3 former Sterling estate staff who I'd paid to tell the truth. Emergency motion filed this morning with Connecticut Family Court. New evidence. Different judge. Hearing scheduled for tomorrow morning. You'll never see Grace again. Michael lunged across the table at me. You bitch, you ruined everything. Security tackled him to the ground. I didn't even flinch. Michael was on the ground, security holding him down. You ruined my life. We gave you everything. I leaned down and spoke quietly, just for him. You gave me nothing. You married me as a bet. You let them abuse me for 3 years. You abandoned your daughter when she was 3 days old. I didn't ruin your life, Michael. You did. Victoria fell to her knees, actually begging. Please, please. We can make a deal. We'll give you anything. I'll apologize. You have nothing I want. I walked to her and looked down. You called me garbage. You said I was nobody. You said I belonged in the snow. But garbage doesn't own a $2.3 billion empire. Garbage doesn't destroy dynasties. You didn't throw away garbage, Victoria. I leaned in close. You threw away a queen. Jonathan, defeated, tried one last time. The contract, please, we need... There is no contract. There never was. This meeting was never about business. It was about you understanding exactly who you destroyed and exactly who destroyed you back. I picked up the remote again. Oh, one more thing. The screen changed to show a YouTube live stream. Current viewers, 4.2 million. This entire meeting has been live streamed to my private YouTube channel. 4.2 million people just watched this entire conversation. Comments flooded the screen. Holy shit. She is a queen. They deserve everything. This is the greatest revenge I've ever seen. Emma Harrington is my hero. Madison's voice was shrill. You can't. That's illegal. We didn't consent to. Check the NDA you signed when you entered this building. Clause 47. Media consent for business meetings. I handed Victoria the paper she had signed without reading. You didn't read it. I learned that from you. Always read what you sign. It was a callback to the hospital scene where they'd forced me to sign divorce papers. Security escorted them out, not gently. Victoria was being dragged. You'll regret this. We'll sue. We'll sue me with what money? You're bankrupt. Goodbye, Victoria. Madison was sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please. You filmed my worst moment for entertainment. You wanted me to go viral for being humiliated. Congratulations. You're viral now, too. Michael met my eyes one last time. Emma, please. Grace, she's my daughter. No, she's my daughter. You're just a sperm donor who abandoned her. You'll never see her again. Security pulled him out. Jonathan just walked out silently. Broken, defeated, his empire was over. I stood alone in the boardroom looking out at Manhattan. Richard entered. The stream is still live. 5.8 million viewers now. I nodded. My phone buzzed. Text from Dr. Morrison. Emergency custody hearing tomorrow. With new evidence, we'll win. Grace is coming home. I smiled for the first time in months. A real smile. Outside Harrington Global Building, the Sterling family exited to absolute chaos. 50 reporters, cameras flashing. Questions screamed, is it true you threw a newborn in the snow? Did you marry her as a bet? Are you being arrested? FBI agents were waiting. Jonathan Sterling, Michael Sterling, you're under arrest for embezzlement and wire fraud. Handcuffs. Rights read. Victoria and Madison weren't arrested yet, but they were mobbed by media. Madison's phone was buzzing with hate messages. Victoria was trying to hide her face. Twitter was trending worldwide. Sterling family exposed at #1. Emma Harrington at #2. Billion-dollar revenge at #3. The next morning, the emergency custody hearing took place. With Dr. Morrison's testimony, the hospital recording, and Madison's own public live stream, the judge ruled immediately. Full custody returned to me. The Sterlings were granted no visitation rights pending criminal proceedings. When they brought Grace to me, I held her and cried. She was safe. Finally, truly safe. 6 months later, October 15th, I was on the cover of Forbes. Emma Harrington, the CEO who rose from nothing. Harrington Global stock was up 40%. We'd expanded into 3 new markets. I sat in my office with Grace, now 8 months old, playing on a mat beside my desk. Rebecca visited. You did it. We did it, I corrected. The Sterling family's fate was sealed. Jonathan was convicted. 12 years in federal prison for embezzlement. Victoria was under house arrest. Bankrupt. Working retail at a department store to pay her IRS debt. Living in a studio apartment. Madison faced no criminal charges, but her career was destroyed. She worked customer service at a call center. Her Instagram followers had dropped to 12,000. She'd lost 97%. Michael took a plea deal. 7 years in prison. He formally signed away all parental rights to Grace. Alexis, or rather Alexandra Thompson, was convicted in California. 15 years for multiple counts of fraud. Sometimes people ask me if I have any regrets, if the revenge was worth it. I look at Grace, happy and healthy, growing up knowing she's loved and safe. I think about the $50 million I donated to women's shelters and abuse victim services. I think about the women who've reached out, sharing their own stories of surviving abuse and finding strength. The original video of my assault has been viewed 127 million times. The Sterling family became a worldwide symbol of karma and justice. Their cruelty was exposed for everyone to see. Was it worth it? Every single second. Let me tell you something I've learned. Something I wish someone had told me when I was lying in that snow, convinced I was nothing. Pain doesn't break everyone. Sometimes if you're strong enough, if you refuse to stay down, pain forges you into something harder than diamonds. Something unbreakable. When they threw me down those vajicidips, I was broken, bleeding, convinced I was nobody. But I was wrong. I wasn't nobody. I was just somebody who hadn't realized her power yet. The media attention from the live stream was intense. For weeks, I couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. Some people called me a hero. Others said I was vindictive, that revenge was beneath me, that I should have been the bigger person. To those people, I ask, what would you have done? Would you have turned the other cheek when they threw your newborn daughter into a blizzard? Would you have forgiven when they tried to steal your child through a corrupt legal system? Would you have shown mercy to people who showed you none? I didn't think so. There's a difference between revenge and justice. Revenge is about hurting someone because they hurt you. Justice is about making sure they can't hurt anyone else ever again. What I did, that was justice. The Sterling family didn't just abuse me. They had a pattern. After everything became public, 7 other women came forward with stories about the Sterling family. Women Michael had dated before me. Women who worked at Sterling Industries. Women who had been mistreated, abused, silenced. Every single one of them thanked me for having the courage to expose what they'd suffered. That's when I knew I'd made the right choice. I started the Harrington Foundation for Abuse Survivors, $50 million in initial funding. We provide legal assistance, therapy, safe housing, and job training for people escaping abusive situations. We've helped over 2,000 people in 6 months. Grace will grow up knowing that when someone tries to make you feel small, you have 2 choices. You can believe them, or you can prove them wrong. I chose to prove them wrong. 1 year after that boardroom meeting on April 12th, I held a press conference. Reporters filled the room, cameras everywhere. 1 year ago today, I began. I sat in a boardroom with the people who had abused me for 3 years. People who had thrown me and my infant daughter into a blizzard. People who had tried to steal my child through a corrupt legal system. Today, I stand here as CEO of a thriving company, as a mother to a happy, healthy daughter, and as someone who refused to let cruelty define her. I'm often asked if I regret what I did, if the revenge was worth it, and I want to be clear, what I did wasn't revenge, it was accountability. The Sterling family didn't lose everything because I was vindictive. They lost everything because they broke the law. Jonathan Sterling embezzled from his employees' pension fund. Victoria Sterling evaded millions in taxes. Michael Sterling committed fraud. Madison Sterling assaulted me and broadcast it to 500,000 people. I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. I just made sure everyone could see it. To anyone out there who's in their own snow, in their own moment of absolute despair, I want you to hear this. You are not garbage. You are not nobody. You are not whatever cruel thing someone called you when they were attempting to break you. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are enough. Get up, dust yourself off, and show them exactly who you are. The room erupted in applause. After the press conference, I went home to my penthouse. Grace was with her nanny, playing with blocks. When she saw me, she smiled and reached her arms up. I picked her up and held her close, breathing in that sweet baby smell. You know what, baby girl? I whispered. Your mommy was almost broken, but she got back up. And one day when you're old enough, I'll tell you this whole story. I'll tell you that no matter what anyone says, you get to decide who you are. Not them, you. Grace giggled and grabbed my hair. I laughed. For the first time in years, the sound was genuine and free. Rebecca came over that evening. We sat on my balcony, overlooking the Manhattan skyline, drinking wine. Do you ever think about that night? She asked. In the snow. Every day, I admitted. But not the way you'd think. I don't think about it with pain anymore. I think about it as the moment everything changed. The moment I stopped being a victim and became a survivor. You're incredible, you know that? I shook my head. I'm not special. I'm just a woman who refused to stay down. That's what makes you special. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. What's next for you, Rebecca asked. I thought about it. Honestly, I don't know. Keep growing the company, keep helping people through the foundation. Raise Grace to be strong and kind. Maybe that's enough. It's more than enough. You've already changed the world for so many people. That night after Rebecca left, I stood in Grace's nursery, watching her sleep. She was so peaceful, so innocent, so perfect. I thought about my mother, Catherine, how she'd run away from her own father's control, trying to make it on her own, how she'd worked 3 jobs to raise me, how she'd been too proud to reach out for help, even when she needed it. I thought about my grandfather, William, how he'd watched me suffer for 2 years, wanting to help but held back by lawyers and strategy, how he'd died watching someone he loved be abused. Both of them had been destroyed by pride, by the inability to bridge the gap between love and stubbornness. I wouldn't make that mistake. I promise you, I whispered to sleeping Grace, you'll grow up knowing you're loved. You'll grow up knowing that asking for help isn't weakness, it's strength. You'll grow up knowing that you never have to accept cruelty from anyone, no matter who they are. And if anyone ever tries to make you feel small, you'll remember that your mother was thrown in the snow and became a queen. Grace stirred in her sleep, her little hand curling into a fist. I smiled and kissed her forehead. Tomorrow, I had a board meeting. Next week, we were launching a new division of Harrington Global, focused on ethical business practices and employee welfare. Next month, the foundation was opening 3 new shelters. But tonight I was just Emma, just a mother watching her daughter sleep, just a woman who'd survived hell and come out stronger. And that was enough. 5 years later, Grace is starting kindergarten today. She's wearing a purple dress she picked out herself, her dark hair in pigtails, bouncing with excitement. Mommy, do you think the other kids will like me? She asks as I drive her to school. Baby, they're going to love you. Just be yourself. That's always enough. Like you always say? Exactly like I always say. I watch her run into school, fearless and bright, and my heart swells. Harrington Global is now worth $4.1 billion. We've expanded into renewable energy, ethical manufacturing, and affordable housing. Every decision I make, I think about the kind of world I want Grace to inherit. The Harrington Foundation has helped over 15,000 people escape abusive situations. We've funded 3 documentary series about domestic violence. We've lobbied for stronger protections for abuse survivors in family court. The Sterling family is a distant memory now. Jonathan was released from prison last month after serving his full sentence. He's 67 years old, working as a sales associate at a hardware store. I heard he applied for a job at Harrington Global. The application was denied. Victoria is 73, still on house arrest, still working retail. She'll be paying off her IRS debt for the rest of her life. Madison is 42 now, though she'd hate me mentioning that. She works night shifts at a 24-hour diner. No social media presence, no followers, no fame, just an ordinary life, which to her is the worst punishment imaginable. Michael was released 2 months ago after serving 5 years of his 7-year sentence. He tried to contact me once, asking to see Grace. I had my lawyer send him a cease and desist. He signed away his parental rights. He gets nothing. I heard he's working as a warehouse manager somewhere in New Jersey. He's engaged to someone new. I hope, for her sake, he's learned something. But I doubt it. Alexis is still in prison. 7 more years to go. As for me, I'm engaged. His name is David Collins. He's a civil rights attorney. We met at a fundraiser for the foundation. He knows my whole story. He loves me anyway. More importantly, he loves Grace like she's his own. When I told him about the Sterling family, about everything that happened, he said, "You know what I see when I look at you? Not a victim, not even a survivor. I see a woman who refused to let cruelty define her. I see strength." That's when I knew I could trust him with my heart. We're getting married next spring. Small ceremony. Just family and close friends. Grace is going to be the flower girl. She's already planned her entire outfit. Sometimes, late at night, I still dream about the snow, about the cold, about Grace's weakening cries, about thinking we were going to die. But I don't wake up screaming anymore. I wake up, go to Grace's room, watch her sleep for a minute, and remember, we survived. We more than survived. We thrived. Last week, a young woman came to my office. She'd reached out through the foundation. She'd been abused by her husband's family, thrown out with nothing, exactly like I had been. I saw your story, she told me, crying. I saw what you did, you. And I thought if she could do it, maybe I can too. I held her hand. You absolutely can, and you won't have to do it alone. We got her into one of our shelters, connected her with a lawyer, started her on therapy, helped her file a police report. 2 months later, she sent me a photo, her and her 2 kids smiling in their new apartment. The caption read, "We're free. Thank you for showing me that was possible." That's why I did it. Not for revenge. For that moment. For every woman who needed to see that you can be thrown in the snow and still become a queen. Today is April 12th, the anniversary of the boardroom confrontation. Every year on this day, I do something special. This year, I'm speaking at a TEDx event about trauma, resilience, and justice. I stand on stage, looking out at 5,000 people. When they threw me in that snow, I begin, I was convinced I was dying. I was convinced I was nobody. I was convinced that's what I deserved. I was wrong about all of it. Pain doesn't break everyone. Sometimes if you're strong enough, if you refuse to give up, pain forges you into something stronger than you ever imagined. I'm not special. I'm not superhuman. I'm just a woman who refused to stay down. To anyone out there in their own blizzard, in their own moment of despair, this is not your ending. This is your beginning. Get up, dust off the snow, and show the world exactly who you are. Because garbage doesn't build empires. Garbage doesn't change lives. Garbage doesn't inspire thousands of people to find their own strength. You're not garbage. You are not nobody. You're powerful beyond measure. And one day you'll look back at this moment and realize, this was when you became unbreakable. The standing ovation lasts 3 minutes. Afterward, hundreds of people line up to talk to me, to share their stories, to thank me, to tell me they're getting up too. That night, I'm home with Grace and David. We're making dinner together, something simple. Pasta, Grace's favorite. Mommy, why do people always want to talk to you? Grace asks, stirring the sauce carefully. Because Mommy's story helped them understand something important. What's that? That no matter what happens to you, you get to decide what it means. You get to decide who you become. Like you became a queen? I laugh. Something like that, baby. David kisses my temple. The queen who rose from snow. I like that, I say. After dinner, after Grace is asleep, David and I sit on the balcony, just like Rebecca and I did years ago. Do you ever regret it? He asks. The public nature of everything? The live stream? The media circus? I think about it honestly. No, because it wasn't just about me. It was about every person who's ever been told they're nothing. Every person who's been thrown away like garbage. I wanted them to see that you can come back from that. You can not just survive, but thrive. You've changed so many lives. They changed their own lives. I just showed them it was possible. We sit in comfortable silence, holding hands, watching the city. I think about Emma from 5 years ago. Broken, bleeding, convinced she was dying in the snow. If I could go back and talk to her, I'd say, hold on, just a little longer. Help is coming, and 5 years from now, you'll be happy. Truly, genuinely happy. Grace will be healthy. You'll be in love. You'll have helped thousands of people. The Sterling family will be nothing but a bad memory. The snow doesn't last forever. Spring always comes. My phone buzzes. Email from the foundation. Another woman asking for help. Another person ready to escape their own blizzard. I respond immediately, connecting her with resources, letting her know she's not alone, because that's what this was all about. Not revenge, not even justice, really. It was about making sure that no one else has to lie in the snow, bleeding and broken, believing they're nobody. It was about showing the world that you can be thrown away like garbage and still become a queen. And if my story, my pain, my journey can help even one person find the strength to stand up and fight back, then every moment of it was worth it. I look at the Manhattan skyline, at the Harrington Global building with my grandfather's name on it, at the city that became my kingdom. I think about William, watching me from wherever he is now, hoping he's proud. I think about my mother, Catherine, who taught me that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what's hurting you. I think about baby Grace sleeping peacefully in her room, safe and loved, never having to question her worth. And I think about myself, Emma Catherine Morgan Harrington, the girl who was nobody, the woman who became everything. They threw me in the snow when I had nothing. They didn't know I was about to inherit a $1 billion empire. They didn't know I would survive. They didn't know I would rise. But most importantly, they didn't know that sometimes when you try to destroy someone, you just make them stronger. I am not a victim. I am not even just a survivor. I am a woman who was broken and refused to stay that way. I am a mother who will teach her daughter that her worth is not determined by anyone else. I am a CEO who built an empire in fairness and justice. I am a philanthropist who turns pain into purpose. I am the queen who rose from snow. And if you're reading this, if you're in your own blizzard right now, if you're convinced you're nobody, let me tell you something. You're wrong. You are somebody, you are powerful, you are worthy. And one day you'll rise too. Get up. The snow doesn't last forever. Your empire is waiting.